Hello and welcome back inside the Red Zone. Another week and another road win for the North Central Cardinals as the offense once again put up over 50 points and the defense only allowed points in a single quarter. Head coach Brad Spencer will join me in a moment to break down his team's first College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin victory of the year. Plus later, I'll be joined by Terrence Hill, the other half of North Central's two-headed monster of a rushing attack, and Julian Bell, who has already made a big statement since returning to the program this fall. But first, let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday in Kenosha as the Cardinals took on Carthage. A second Saturday on the road to start the season for the North Central Cardinals. Last week in Indiana, this week in Wisconsin, looking for a similar result as they faced off with the Carthage College Firebirds in search of their 17th straight win over the Kenosha natives in the first CCIW matchup of the season. The Cardinals' first defensive series was all about junior safety Julian Bell. A good tackle at the line, an aggressive pass breakup, and a great open field tackle, all culminating in an interception inside the North Central 5-yard line to keep the score at 0-0 early. That helped motivate the Cardinals offense to get up and running as quarterback Luke Lanin breaks off a 53-yard run, though he'd proved to have plenty more in the tank. Later in the drive, Terrence Hill rumbles into the end zone for his first touchdown of the year, 7-0 North Central. But Carthage had an immediate answer, a long touchdown pass from Christian Beltran to Alex Jarvis, and the first quarter would end tied 7-7, raising the possibility this game would be more competitive than expected. The Cardinals offense came right back. A blown coverage by the Carthage defense leaves sophomore wide receiver Peter Braithwaite wide open, and Lanin finds him for the 65-yard score to restore a 7-point Cardinals lead. The next North Central drive ended in a fumble, but the defense takes the ball right back as BJ Adamczyk jumps on the Carthage fumble to set up great field position. Lanin looks long on the very next play, and D'Angelo Hardy comes up just short of the end zone. Ethan Greenfield then happily does the rest, punching in his fourth touchdown of the year in less than a game and a half. 21-7 now. I mentioned Lanin had more left in the tank, and here's where he shows off the wheels. 55 yards on the run to the house. Lanin led the Cardinals with 107 yards rushing, and this run left the Cardinals leading 28-7. The Cardinals defense racked up 6 sacks in the game. Here's the first by Tyler Rich, who had 3 of them. Tanner Raines adds a 37-yard field goal on the next drive, his first 3 points of the season. And it wouldn't feel like a real North Central game without multiple Ethan Greenfield rushing touchdowns. His second of the day makes it 38-7 on the only point scored in the third quarter. Dan Lester had 2 of those aforementioned 6 sacks. Here he is totally swallowing up Beltran in the backfield. Maybe the most impressive run of the day wasn't a touchdown or by Luke Lanin, but this crazy run by Jordan Chisholm, just running over Firebird defenders and finding daylight, but falling just short of the end zone. But backup QB Jake Johnson would take care of that. He fakes out the entire defense and waltzes into the end zone for 52-7. Sophomore Nick Laird would get the final sack of the day as the second-team defense continued to apply the pressure. And then freshman running back Kyle Franklin notches his first career touchdown late to bring the point total to 59. And even when Carthage went searching for consolation, it wasn't to be. A fumble in the final moments just short of the goal line is recovered by North Central freshman Jake Brock, and the Cardinals roll to 1-0 in conference play. After earning his first coaching victory last week, Brad Spencer now has his first victory in the CCIW as a head coach. Next up, hopefully his first win at home. Brad, congrats on another win and welcome back to the show.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
So we'll get to all the fun stuff and all the fireworks of the final 3 quarters in a minute, but opening quarter against Carthage, end 7-7. What was kind of your evaluation of what did and didn't happen for you guys in the opening 15 minutes.
Yeah, we got off slow. We told the guys last night we had a slow week of practice to start the week, so it wasn't all too surprising. I do think if we get points on that first drive or we make that field goal, that perhaps the momentum swings a little bit. I think that was a big stop for them. You saw that in the atmosphere and in their team. To get that stop on us really shifted the momentum. And, fortunately, the guys worked really hard the next 2 quarters before the half to wrestle that back.
Something that really stood out to me watching that game was Luke Lanin looked a little bit more confident and comfortable out there. We saw him run a bit more. We saw him, try a few more deep balls. What did you see from him in terms of his comfort level in the offense and his confidence, under center?
Yeah, I think, he's still technically an underclassman, a sophomore on the football field, even though he's had 3 years with us. So each game he's going to continue to progress. And, as he learns to digest new game plans each week, I think we'll see his efficiencies continue to go up. Last week we had to deal with a few elements. The wind was actually blowing quite a bit, and I think you saw that on some of the deep balls that we missed where the ball just kind of took off. So I think we would have had an opportunity to have an even higher efficiency. But he did a great job with his legs, and that's an element that he brings and he needs to be able to use and be confident with. And he had over 100 rushing yards. We're going to take that. It's tough on a defense when your quarterback can run the way that he runs and then have the O-line and the running backs that we have. It's hard to stop. So I think that was great. He didn't do that as much in game 1. So it's good to see that, that ability show up a little bit in the second game.
I actually wanted to ask you about some of those deep balls that didn't quite work out. A couple get overthrown, float on the wind. A couple go off of guys' hands.
Yep.
When the offense comes back to the sideline, what are you saying to the guys involved in those plays when, it feels like maybe an opportunity was missed for a big play?
Yeah, you want to help them understand that there's going to be a next play. I really believe in diagnosing what went wrong, fix it, wash it, and let's go on to the next play. You have to be where your feet are. That's something we say all the time. You can't be involved in the last play. You can't be involved in the next play. You got to be involved and confident in this play. So you just diagnose what went wrong, how to fix it, and then move on and keep taking your shots.
This team has had a really deep running back core for years now, but I think it's almost hilarious how much depth you guys have now.
Yeah.
Kyle Franklin, I think I would call the 6th string running back maybe, and he gets a touchdown in this game. As a coach, does embarrassment of riches even do it justice, the options you have in the backfield?
No. I'll take all the talented young men we can get at every position. Certainly has been a luxury with the backs that we've had, Ethan and Terrence since 2018, and some of the younger ones with Jordan Chisholm, Joe Sacco, even Darius Bird, who's a 5th-year senior, Kyle Franklin. They're all capable. Fortunately, we have a great room. Those guys are all unselfish. They do a great job of really carrying on what being a Cardinal football player is and being great glue people, accepting their role, accepting their piece of the pie. And you just never know. You never know when your number is going to get called. We've seen it over the years with Terrence and with Ethan. I mean, Terrence averaged 9 yards a carry this last game, had a couple of touchdowns, and maybe it was a little quieter in game 1. So you just never know. But no, I'll take all the talented football players that we can get at every position.
On the defensive side, we saw it a lot last year. We've seen it in both games so far this year, and that is 3 quarters of shutouts and then 1 quarter where a couple things don't quite bounce your way. From a coaching perspective, is there any explaining that pattern? And, how would you evaluate the defense, and especially with 6 shutout quarters to their name through 2 games?
Right. Coach Durkin's really been stressing getting off the bus, first play ready. Those first drive or 2, teams are going to have things scripted. They're going to have new plays. So as coaches, we're going to do our best to adjust and, put our guys in situations where they can execute whatever scheme we have going, even if we're going to see some new things that we haven't seen on film. But starting slow, our whole team did Saturday. So I don't really put that just on the defense. And again, they did a great job of tightening up, making some adjustments, and figuring out how to shut them out the rest of the way.
Home opener this Saturday against Elmhurst, your first game at home as North Central head coach. Just personally, how much are you looking forward to Saturday? It's
nice to be home. It's nice not be on the road, sleeping in a hotel on Friday night. I think it's nice for our guys to put on the red jerseys and be at home and have the familiar rhythms and patterns that we have. It'll be great to have some recruits at the game. We're excited for it. We're really looking forward to being at home here for the next couple of weeks.
I know you and the team take things 1 week at a time, but part of the context of this week is it's the last game before the date everyone has circled, Wheaton next week. With that as part of the context, and even just looking at this week, what are you focusing on this week against Elmhurst? What are the big points you're going to preach this week in practice to the guys that you want to see them execute on the field at home?
Right. Well, Sunday we talked about starting faster, so adjusting our practice plans to, get out there and get going against each other as quick as we can. We need to get rid of the personal fouls and the unsportsmanlike, and then we had the football on the ground 2 times. So those are going to be the big things that we stress. I said it last week, each week you're concerned about your own house and making sure that you're cleaning up the things that you can control and that you can clean up. We don't control who we're playing or, what their record is, but we know that every single week we're going to get the best from whomever we're playing. They're going to be better than they were on film. They're going to play harder. We're going to get new schemes. That's just part of what you get at this stage. So we'll be prepared for that. We're not looking past it. As I mentioned earlier, you can't do that in our conference. You have to go one game at a time, or you will get yourself in trouble.
It's time once again to check the tape, where Coach Spencer and I take a look back at a few plays from the weekend that was. And Coach, I want to start with a couple guys on defense. Tyler Rich first had a couple really impressive sacks in this game. These two are almost identical plays, really, when you look at the spin move he pulls off to get to the quarterback.
Right. Yeah, Tyler really showed up. We're happy to see that. I know Coach Janicek's been working really hard with him to unleash some new moves, have confidence in what he's been doing in the offseason, and in the second half we saw it, and we saw what type of player he can be, and we're going to need that going forward.
And then next up we're going to have Dan Lester, and if we talk about Tyler with kind of that technique, Dan just has seeming raw power to just go straight through an offensive line, and he has a lot of fun clearly doing it.
He does. Danny's a great young man. We're excited to have him in the program, and he's worked really hard. He's super athletic for his size and how big he is. I think people would be surprised at his athleticism and the things that he can do on and off the football field. Plays with all heart. He loves his teammates. He's a great glue guy, and he's also a phenomenal talent.
And then finally, a bit of a spoiler here, this next play just missed out on play of the week here on the Red Zone, but we have to talk about it. This run by Jordan Chisholm, I feel like there's 3 different stages here. First, we'll see him weave through some traffic, then he'll absolutely truck a defensive back, and then he turns on the Jets.
Yeah, Jordan had a great, individual effort here once he got to the second level. I think if we get a couple of more blocks a little bit longer, he's in the end zone. But Jordan's another one of those running backs that we have that we can count on at any point in the football game. So it was great to see him get some carries and have some success here in week 2.
Well, head coach Brad Spencer looking for a 3rd milestone win in as many weeks this weekend. We'll see you out at Benedetti Worley on Saturday, and thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks, Alex.
Opportunity is everywhere. It is in everything and within everyone. Your opportunity is at the center of all that we do, so that you can exceed your personal best.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. In the first 2 games of the season, we've seen some familiar faces from last year make plays, while some less familiar ones have stepped right into the spotlight. I'm joined by one of each this week, Terrence Hill and Julian Bell. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, Alex,
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to have you guys here. So, Terrence, I'll start with you. Before last season, you and Ethan Greenfield told me you had a weightlifting competition as a way to get prepped for the season. You do anything interesting this past summer to get yourself ready for your 5th and final year of college football?
No, not quite as, interesting as a weightlifting competition. We just challenge each other kind of on a daily basis, especially in practice. And, especially during the off season, we were getting an extra work on like Saturdays and stuff with Drew Kaminsky. So, just doing stuff like that.
And then Julian, obviously on this team, you made a bit of a name for yourself in the 2019 playoffs, spent a season at Roosevelt University, back now with North Central, making an impact. What was the motivation to come back here to Naperville and be a part of this roster again?
You know, here in Naperville, I have a community that I know that believes in me and pushes me to be the best person on and off the field. So I appreciate that. And, you know, just the family environment, that's the ultimate reason why I decided to come back.
And kind of on that note, particularly in this game, you dominated that opening drive, a couple of tackles, a pass breakup, an interception. What work was required on your part this offseason to step right back in here and take over a starting role from the get-go?
Yeah, some of my roommates, Terrence, Matthew Robinson, they just pushed me to ultimately be the best version of myself. And you mentioning that first drive, I just feel like every person on the field during that drive did their 1/11th, which put me in a position to go out there and ultimately make plays. So I could just credit, you know, the D linemen for getting back there in the backfield and the linebackers doing their assignment.
Terrence, on the offensive side of the ball, I asked Coach Spencer about this week as well. Is the running back room as deep as it's ever been in your time here? I think 6 different guys have already gotten carries. We saw Kyle Franklin, a freshman, get a touchdown this past week. What's kind of the vibe right now in that running back room with all the talent you guys have just stuffed in there?
You know, in that room, it's a you know, brotherly kind of thing. You know, we like to say we're the best running back group in the nation. But, you know, a lot of it comes from trust and, you know, building each other up, you know, knowing that even when, you know, Ethan and I aren't in, you know, Jordan Chisholm, Joe Sacco, they're able to make those plays. Darius Byrd, you know, and Kyle Franklin. And we got some, you know, guys who haven't seen the field yet who are more than capable as well.
Julian, not just you coming back into the secondary group, there's been a lot of change in that group going into this season. What have you guys been doing these first couple of weeks, also in the offseason, to try to build chemistry and hit the ground running?
Some things that we've been doing, you know, obviously watching film, but outside of football, trying to really get to know one another, whether that be going out to get some lunch or, you know, just hanging out. But I feel like as a secondary, we've put in the time and effort to really go out there and trust one another when it comes game time.
And Terrence, you know, last year a big theme coming out of the COVID year was the fifth-year seniors who kind of took it upon themselves to be the leaders of the team. And, you know, knowing this was their last go-round to make a run to the Stag Bowl, that meant a lot to them. As one of the fifth-year seniors this year, for you personally, what are your goals this year, and what does it mean to be one of these guys that has all that veteran experience?
You know, I'm just grateful that to be here, honestly, to be in a position where, you know, I can be a leader on the team, and that, you know, guys can look up to me. Personally, you know, I just want to leave it all out there, you know, not have any regrets, leave everything I got out on the field, you know, be the best teammate, be the best player, and be the best person that I can be. So, you know, that's a goal of mine.
So before I let you guys go, every week on the Red Zone, of course, we finish up with some quick hits, some fun, usually non-football stuff, just to lighten the mood a bit and have some fun. First of all, I know you guys are roommates, so I have to start by asking, is there anything the other guy does that particularly bugs you that's a frequent point of contention back at home?
Yeah, I can go first. So it's always when I'm, you know, trying to take a nap or something, Julian wants to come in and he's like, hey, and just wants to wrestle. I'm like, man, come on, not now. I'm just trying to relax, you know, but, you know, it's always good.
We're going to see you at a third sport there, going to get on the nationally ranked wrestling team too, in addition to football and track.
I don't know about that. I think that might be Julian's job.
I would say a pet peeve of mine that Terrence has or does is every morning he drinks black coffee. I don't know why he doesn't put any sweetener or cream or anything in it. I just, you know, I personally don't like black coffee, and I don't know how somebody could drink black coffee, but it's, you know.
No, I'm with you there. I'm an oat milk in my coffee guy personally.
Oat milk?
Yeah, black, I don't think I could do black coffee. Just not my thing. So next, 2 road trips already, 2 of the ones already out of the way. For each of you guys, what's a road trip essential? A snack, music you listen to, something that you always have to do or have when you're on the road?
I would say a road trip essential for me. I got a really bad sweet tooth. I gotta have candy. Gotta have candy. Probably like Airheads or like the Nerds, like the clusters. Those are my go-to.
Yeah, I'm usually Swedish Fish, maybe the Sour Patch Watermelon
Fish.
guys are.
Oh, man.
I don't know why those have always just been my road trip. If I need a bit of a sugar rush, that's always been my go-to.
I would say I actually have 2 requirements for travel, but I have my blanket, and then I have my book of prophecies that I bring with me on every road trip. Something I like to do is read and journal, so just takes my mind off of things and allows me to be in a sort of a safe zone, and
And then just kind of to expand on that a bit, how do you feel like that, when you transition off the bus, then get on the field pregame, how do you feel that mindset helps you, transition into game time?
Yeah, when game time comes, it's always important to flip that switch. So, going from that clear and open-minded, mindset to more of a aggressive, but at the same time controlled mindset. So I think it's very important to be able to flip the switch when you're on and off the field.
And then finally, I can imagine that in a lot of ways, a #1 nationally ranked football team is a very competitive environment. If each of you had to stake something that you are the best on the team at blank, what would you pick for yourself that you think you're the best on the entire roster at?
I'm the best rummy player. The best rummy player. Let Dan Lester know that I'm the best rummy player, not him. We go at it. He'll come over like 10 a.m. and Julian will come downstairs. He's like, man, you guys are playing cards? And yeah, so I'm the best rummy player.
I would say I'm the best clothes folder. After I do laundry, I take pride in folding my clothes. And I've worked a handful of retail jobs. So I'd say I'm the best laundry folder.
Rare skill for a college guy too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Not always the most fun thing with the laundry and taking point of pride in the keeping things neat. Is he a really neat roommate in general?
Yeah, he's pretty clean.
All right, well, hopefully you guys keep things pretty clean in terms of the record this weekend.
Yep.
Home opener, sure you guys are excited. Thanks so much for coming on the Red Zone, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We all have a story to share, stories others can relate to, whether moments of sorrow or of hope and inspiration, whether a story of struggle or a moment of victory. Every little moment captured and shared helps us to feel more informed, helps us to feel more engaged with and connected to the community we all call home. Every little moment captured and shared adds up to something greater. For us, that something is the collective story of Naperville, a city rich in its volunteer spirit, its diversity, its traditions and celebrations, and so much more. In Naperville, there are so many stories worth sharing, and for the past 35 years, it's been our honor to tell those stories and share them with you.
It's time for this week's Red Zone play of the game. And for North Central's victory over Carthage, it was a runaway winner, literally. On 3rd down and long, quarterback Luke Lanham keeps it himself, and after picking up the first down, wheels out to his left and turns on the Jets for a 55-yard touchdown run that displayed the athleticism that makes the sophomore such a nightmare for opposing defenses to plan for. Credit also to center Gerard Thornton and wide receiver Jacob Parody for their key blocking to clear a lane for their QB. And that's this week's Red Zone play of the game. Another episode of the Red Zone in the books. Thanks again to Coach Spencer and to Terrence and Julian for coming on the show this week. This Saturday is the home opener for North Central College football, and we'll have the game live on Channel 17 in Naperville, as well as on NorthCentralCardinals.com. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. I hope you can join Grant Sabo and I for the action as the Cardinals return to Benedetti Worley Stadium. But until then, I'm Alex Campbell. Thanks for spending some time here in the Red Zone.